Okay, so today we're going to talk about the calves and common symptoms around the calves getting crampy. I've heard numerous issues with when you're sleeping, the toes are pointing, and so you cramp at night. All of this around cramping of the calves will be benefited when we do these trigger point releases and the stretch I'm going to show you at the end. So if you have a tennis ball, or if you have a trigger point ball, or if you have something, you could even use an avocado pit. We're going to be using a small object like a ball, tennis ball, avocado pit, or trigger point ball to release trigger points in the large and smaller muscle of the calf area. If you have regular cramping going on in the calves or legs or lower legs, there could be other issues going on. It could be nutritional, it could be dehydration, it could be minerals. So I won't go too much into that, but you want to make sure, especially in the Northern Hemisphere where we're going into summer now, be sure that you're hydrated and you want to be drinking pure water ideally, and you're getting good nutrition. So you're getting the nutrients that you need. And then if you have a habit of sleeping with your feet pointed or the covers, push on your toes or your foot so where it's pointed. That is a way that tends to shorten that gastroc and the lower soleus, the smaller muscles of the Achilles tendons, and oftentimes will cause cramping at night. So what I would suggest, and if your feet are cold, you may even want to warm them, because that's another thing that will cause perpetuate cramping. But you could take the covers off or set your leg up so that it's resting on a pillow and doesn't get the cover pushing down on the feet so that it's pointed. You want to be able to have that flexion in the foot rather than pointed all night long with covers pushing down on that foot. And then a couple of others, if you have pain climbing stairs, going over rocks and it seems really tight, or your legs seem really stiff, it could be because of these tight calves and the trigger points that I'll show you. Things like we'll see a lot of ankle twists, ankle issues because of the calf being really tight. So the stretch that we'll do at the end will also help. And make sure I'm recording here. And the other piece I was going to say is that if you sit at a desk and you hook your heel in the rung of the bottom of the chair, the stool, and you hook your feet, you tend to hook, that's going to also keep that foot in that pointed position, which will then shorten those tendons there. So you want to make sure you get that opportunity to do the flexion on that. And then standing, of course, for long periods of time. And in high heels, ideally, you're not standing for long periods of time, or even wearing high heels for a long time, because that pointing of the toe is going to just shorten all that calf area. Okay, so I'm going to point these out. I'm going to also do this from, you can use a chair. I have this that I can actually use and show how I'm going to put those trigger point positions here. But I want to talk specifically about the back. So where we're going to hit those trigger points are four pieces. Bigger muscle on the outside, bigger muscle on the inside. We're going to come down a little bit, and we're going to go inside a little bit. We can get three of them on the board, and then I'm going to show you how to do it from a seated position as well. But having your feet from the knees to the heels elevated will also help, especially if you tend to be cramping or have leg pain. This is just a nice way to release. Now, I also want to say, if you have any kind of varicose veins, do not put, if you have a varicose vein, don't put the trigger point right on that spot. We don't want to be anywhere near that. So just be aware of that. And remember, this is for entertainment and education purposes only. All right, so I'm going to use this smaller ball on the calf. You want to be at that 90-degree angle, so we definitely want to be as close to that chair as possible. And you want a little harder surface, so if you're on a bed, it may not actually work because the bed could be too soft. So the first point, you're going to see what I've got. I'm pushing in, and you will probably, if you're doing this with me, you will probably feel it immediately. I'm putting enough pressure to get the trigger point to activate it, but I'm not creating pain. So now, once you have a trigger point, you'll know it, and you want it to be less than an 8. If we go too high, then the body starts to resist this. But once we have the trigger point and you stay on it, within about 30 seconds, the pain should be lessening very quickly, very rapidly. If you're feeling any numbness or tingling, then you want to get off that spot. The 4 spots, and I will post this with a photograph of where the X's would be, are right behind that the big muscle of the calf. And so we've got 2 big points that when those are bunched up, think about having a knot at that spot, and it's pulling. It will pull on that all the way down and send a referral of pain all the way down the back of your leg, even to the bottom of your foot where we get these cramps going on at the foot. But where the trigger point is starting is up at this gastroc, the big muscle in the calf. And all you're doing is staying on that point and releasing it. This is different than rolling. So we're not doing any kind of rolling. We're staying on the trigger point and we're releasing it, okay? So we're pushing gently. Gravity will pretty much do most of the work there. So once you've got the top 2 points, you can go ahead and get the next point down. And remember, once you have a trigger point and you feel the sensation, not too much pain, 8 would be maximum that we want to go to. 9 is not tolerable. 10 would be excruciating. Do not go past 8. It's just about, it's tolerable, but you can tell that you've got something there, like a knot. So similar to a deep tissue, but you're releasing that spot. You're letting the muscles unravel on their own. You're detangling. And so the next spot is more on the inside, and you can come in and find that. Once again, you're not trying to bruise yourself. You're not trying to hurt yourself. And you'll find the spot for you. And then about 15, even sooner, sometimes 10, 15 seconds, you'll start to feel it just release. And you'll feel the release and a relief all the way up your toes, all the way up the bottom of your foot, the back of your leg. That is what should be happening for trigger point release. Now remember, you can use a tennis ball, and of course, we want to do both sides ideally, but for these demonstration purposes, I'm going to go ahead and show you the next piece of this, because I want to show you how you can do it from seated, from sitting up, and we can come inside, and you can just put the tennis ball right on the inside gently, keep your shoulders relaxed. And this is more on the inside, so it's a little bit harder to get from up, but it's on the inside. And if you were to just come to the attachment at that knee joint, and you can just come down a little bit and find the trigger point. And once again, on that trigger point, you're not trying to create pain. You're just looking for that trigger point. Think of it as a knot. Once you have it, it will refer, likely it will refer the sensation or the pain throughout the rest of that leg, that chain there, and you're just letting it release. We're not digging in there and massaging it right now. That's not the purpose of this. And you can also do it from the other side, where you bring your foot around, you bring your leg around, and you're in a comfortable position. And now we're getting it at a little bit of a different angle. So again, we're not right on the back of it. We're at that opening from the knee joint and just slightly down. And there's another trigger point right there along that side. There it is. And hopefully you can take a little bit of time getting to know your body and listening to it, staying hydrated, keeping good nutrition in, and using tools like trigger point therapy release. And then the stretch that I'm going to show you. We can eliminate cramping in the calves, especially night cramping, because I know that that is not fun. A lot of times when we're deficient in magnesium, We're deficient in our big minerals, calcium, magnesium. Magnesium is a big culprit of being deficient. Potassium is another one, especially as we start getting hot and sweaty in the summer. And those minerals are really important. So if that's handled through your nutrition and you're still having these issues, I would definitely use these trigger points. I'm going to show you another stretch. Let me do it from a standing position. We'll just get up for a moment. And this basic calf stretch, you could do it against a wall. You can do it standing. I like having a wall where you can put a little bit of pressure there, and then the heel is back and lined up. So make sure that foot is lined up and you get that nice stretch. You can bend that knee gently. So doing stretching after trigger point release is a great practice, really, really smart practice. Another thing that you can do is take, if you don't have the ability to get a hold of your toes from your own hands, you could get a towel, because you want to create dorsal flexion. That means you want the toes to face towards your nose, not to be pointing. We've got a lot of this happening a lot of times with our shoes, or just pointing from sleeping with the covers on. Get a towel, create dorsal flexion, check the rest of your alignment, and stretch the back of those legs from your calves with that dorsal flexion. And do check to make sure you've got tripod feet there. The rest of your body's in great alignment with the shoulders pocketed, good breathing. Okay, so that is work on those calves when they are cramping. I hope that helps. Those trigger points, when they are angry, can definitely cause issues, but I know that this has helped a lot of my clients. It's helped me, and I hope it will help you as well. Until next time, I'm Stefana, and I hope to see you. Make sure if you aren't a subscriber, do subscribe and ring the bell so you can join me live. If you have a specific issue going on, or if you have a question that I can answer with a video, please don't hesitate to comment, and be sure to do a hashtag for Yogilachi, and I will find that and respond with a video. In the meantime, be well, stay happy, keep moving, and hydrate.